Hi, I'm Sally Quinn, and this is Jacques Berlinerblau, and welcome to the God Vote. This week, Japan has endured earthquakes, tsunamis, nuclear disaster, and Glenn Beck weighed in on the situation. He said, whether you call it Gaia or whether you call it Jesus, there's a message being sent, and that is, hey, you know that stuff we're doing? Not really working out real well. Maybe we should stop doing some of it. Jacques, do you think this is appropriate?
Is it appropriate? With Glenn Beck, he takes appropriate to a new level. He has freedom of speech. We're allowed to say whatever we want in this country, so he's more than welcome to say it. But it's this typical absurdity we hear from religious traditionalists, which tries to correlate liberalism with catastrophe. So I have very little tolerance for these types of remarks.
I know you covered the Faith and Freedom Coalition spring kickoff this week, and there were 5 Republican would-be candidates there. The MC, Mr. Gopal Krishna, said what?
We are concerned that a country that was founded on European-style Christian moral values has now become a multicultural haven for every weird and kinky lifestyle.
Well, I mean, that's just funny. I mean, that doesn't bother me so much because the guy obviously has a sense of humor. What I found to be not very funny is if you go to the website of the Iowa Faith and Freedom Coalition, there's a little video by David Barden of the group Wall Builders, and he's talking about something called the Pulpit Initiative.
What is that?
The Pulpit Initiative is a frontal challenge to almost the legitimacy of the IRS's 501c3 provision. In essence, the C3 provision prevents charitable organizations who receive tax exemptions from engaging in politicking. So what Mr. Barden did is he trained 31 pastors, this Alliance Defense Fund, to go out there and preach politics, talk about which candidates they liked on the basis of which was most consonant with biblical worldview. And this is an actual challenge to the IRS. And they said, IRS, come and get us. And the IRS has not so far come to get them. And I don't know about you, Sally, but for $250, I've had the IRS at my front door, as well they should be. Have you ever had those types of incidents with the IRS?
Sounds like it's against the law.
It sounds like it's against the law. And we're not even being seditious, so I find this very, very odd. There seems to be a double standard in this country.
Well, you not only called that seditious, but Ralph Reed, the coalition's chairman, said, our founders made an even more radical statement in the Declaration of Independence, saying if that government ever failed to protect those rights, then it was not only our right, but our duty and moral obligation to replace that government by force, if necessary, with one that respected our rights. I mean, are we talking about guns in the streets?
I'm a little perplexed that somebody on national television with 5 presidential candidates in tow could essentially call for the overthrow of the American government. Now, this is going out of the realm of expressive liberty, and it's veering into something that's completely different. Now, I ask you this, had a Muslim American made precisely the same comment, oh, I don't know, last week, you would have had an alphabet soup of security agencies on his porch within half an hour. So I think there's clearly a double standard here.
Well, why aren't people more angry about this?
I'm not quite sure. They should be as concerned as they are about Muslim extremism, which was the subject of Mr. King's show trial last week.
Yeah, how did you feel that went?
I don't think the trial went particularly well. I think they were probing something that was extremely important and we shouldn't lose sight of. After all, 3,000 Americans were killed on 9/11. I don't think we could forget that. I do think a fraction of the Islamic American community might be vulnerable to this type of radicalization, and I wanted to know more about it. It reminds me a little bit of Jewish communists back in the 50s and 60s. Most Jews were not communists, but somewhere, and this was a national security threat, of course, McCarthyism wasn't the answer to that. I just wish that Mr. King had perhaps pursued this in a more sober, responsible, and less incendiary fashion.
I think Peter King is a showman. I think this is a show trial. I think this is all about his own publicity, his own personality. He did the same thing with 9/11 to get attention. I think this is an attention-getting, and I think it is totally bombed. Thanks so much for watching. Please join us next week on The God Vote when we will have other interesting topics about religion and politics to discuss.